In 2016, author Vicki Robin sat in a room with 50 people to discuss their personal finances. She quickly realized that every single person in the room carried an invisible, crushing weight. They were all terrified about money. What shocked her was the math. It wasn't just indebted 20-somethings, it gripped 80-year-old millionaires. Our society requires everyone to participate in an economic system that terrifies them, regardless of their net worth. We arrive at this state of panic because we inherit an old roadmap. We are taught to assume that economic growth is strictly good, and acquiring more is always better. That endless demand for more locks us into a cycle of desire and debt. The economy becomes a mega boss. We spend our waking hours as anxious subjects, feeding a system that demands infinite consumption. True financial freedom is not about accumulating a specific dollar amount to escape the system. Freedom means freeing your mind from the consumer culture. It means achieving absolute sovereignty over your own choices. As long as you let the economy dictate your desires, your income level is irrelevant. You remain locked in a cycle of wage slavery and waste. We stay trapped in this cycle of fear because of a specific flaw in human psychology, a concept studied by the late Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman. When making financial decisions, humans are rarely rational. Kahneman identified a cognitive bias he called narrow framing. We isolate the immediate problem in front of us. We then react intensely to small, short-term gains and losses as if they are the only variables that matter. Narrow framing causes erratic behavior. We will put money into a savings account while carrying a high-interest credit card balance. We fail to see our assets as one cohesive portfolio spanning our entire lifetime. This tunnel vision extends to how we raise our families. 80% of young adults reach college without ever having a conversation with their parents about debt or earning. Parents hide their financial realities, mistakenly thinking ignorance is less of a burden to their children than the truth. Overcoming our financial fear requires abandoning those narrow, immediate reactions. We have to adopt a broad view, mapping out our lifetime assets and communicating those realities clearly to the next generation. To adopt that broad view, we must stop looking at money as physical currency. Vicki Robin suggests looking at money as your life energy. Look at the math of a human life. We spend a third of our time sleeping. We spend another third commuting, answering emails, and doing other people's bidding. That leaves a remarkably small window of waking hours that are truly ours. Psychologists have tracked exactly how we spend the life energy we trade for cash. According to Harvard researcher Michael Norton, our largest spending category is buying stuff for ourselves. This scatterplot maps personal spending against reported happiness. The result is a flat trend line, showing zero correlation. Buying things simply does nothing. Conversely, pro-social spending, giving to charities or sharing experiences, creates a sharply rising trend line, reliably yielding more happiness. Redirecting our life energy toward human connection rather than isolated material consumption is the first practical step out of the fear trap. When you actually track where your life energy goes, the result is immediate. People who consciously monitor their spending watch their consumption naturally drop by 20 to 25%. When you become conscious of the flow, the excess simply falls away. That surplus allows you to apply broad framing to your debt. You stop borrowing to fund immediate desires, which allows you to systematically flatten debts that previously felt impossible to escape. Next, you build a structural defense mechanism. By accumulating 6 months of living expenses in liquid assets, you create a buffer that helps you exit the zone of precariousness. This fund ensures that a sudden job loss or emergency doesn't tumble you back into debt. The final step to securing the new roadmap is teaching it to your children. Wealth advisors who manage money for the ultra-rich have specific advice on how to do it. First, show them the family money. Second, decouple their household chores from their financial allowance. Chores are a requirement of living in the house. They shouldn't do them just for cash. Finally, force them to make their own spending choices. Give them a structure to save and spend, and then let them fail. It is vastly superior to let a child make a mistake with a $6 allowance today, rather than bailing them out of a $60,000 mistake in adulthood. Financial independence is a two-part equation. You eliminate the precariousness of your own debt today, and you structurally prevent your kids from falling into it tomorrow. Moving past the anxiety of the old roadmap brings us to a specific destination. We arrive at the concept of enough. Enough is not an oppressive ceiling on your ambition. It's not a mandate for extreme minimalism or forcing yourself to live a life of less. This bell curve illustrates our personal inventory, balancing depredation on the left against excess on the right. Enough is the exact apex. It is the vital Goldilocks point where you possess exactly what you need for full self-expression without the crushing burden of excess. By tracking our life energy, embracing a broad view of assets, rejecting the demand for infinite consumption, we change our relationship with society. Financial freedom is not about hoarding infinite riches. It is about reclaiming your sovereignty so you can fully fund your one wild and precious life.